Good evening. I would like to express my thanks to Kelly McCutcheon and to Benita Dodd for inviting me to this special event. And I would like to say to you that I am honored to be here among such celebrated individuals. I've just been very impressed with the people I've been meeting here. But there's one person I sat down at the table with who I found rather absolutely fascinating. His name is Melvin Emerson. And Melvin is with the Georgia Commission on Equal Opportunity. And he was talking to me, and I said to him, well, you know, I'm in the housing business, and I have like 252 employees. And I said, I just got a letter from your department about one of my employees. And I said to him, now, I want to talk about protected classes. I said, I know that being black is a protected class, being woman is a protected class, but what about people like me that are ugly? Are we a protected class? Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. I'm going to take you on a little journey. Journey from a place called Jamaica. Jamaica, West Indies. Many of you all have visited it. And if you visited it, you think it's a beautiful, beautiful island. Topographically rich, with great flora, just an incredibly beautiful place. Well, there was a huge brain drain in the 1940s and the 1950s in Jamaica. And my parents were part of that brain drain. Highly motivated individuals who wanted opportunity had to leave that absolutely beautiful island. Now, I mean, America is a very beautiful country, very prodigiously beautiful. But Jamaica is prodigiously beautiful. But they didn't come to America to participate in the prodigious beauty of America. They came to America to participate in the prodigious opportunities of America. So they came here in the late 1940s. And what was fascinating about their timing is that the economic engine of America was full of energy, allowing individuals who would work hard to gain the benefit of their hard work. My father came here and got a job as a truck driver. My mother came here and got a job as what they call a key puncher. Today you would call them a data entry clerk. And they worked hard. In all of my life, watching my father get up, he'd get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I cannot remember one day of my childhood in my house that my father didn't get up and go to work, despite the fact that we lived in New York City and there were some horrendous storms, but every day he got up and went to work. That was the example that he set. He was a silent man, but he set his example through his action. My mother was very ambitious. In fact, I got to tell you a story about my mother and my dad. We lived in the Bronx. We bought into the best neighborhood we could afford to buy it, a townhouse. You call them townhouses here. In New York, we call them row houses. And my mother saw an opportunity to move to White Plains. So just so you all know, White Plains is like Buckhead. And my mother said, let's go and buy this house. It's going to be $33,000. And my father said, well, what if I get laid off? Well, till my father died, my mother harassed him about not letting her buy that house because that house would have been worth like $750,000 when they moved to Florida. I had very unique parents. They raised 3 children, and they taught us the value of work and the value of being responsible. My mother, there was a United States Senator, Phil Gramm, and I wasn't a huge fan of Phil Gramm, but he said something that really touched me. He said he lived in a day when a mother's dreams were not easily deferred. And I lived in the day when a mother's dreams were not easily deferred. My mother let me know it wasn't an issue of whether I was going to college. It was where you're going to go to college. Those were the value systems. And that was achieved by them setting standards for everybody in our house. And nowhere was there a regulation from the United States government. They didn't come to the United States looking for government assistance. They came to the United States looking for opportunity. So what did my mother do? She got a second job, selling real estate in Florida for IT&T in a community called Palm Coast, Florida. She went ahead and sold New Yorkers, primarily immigrants, lots in Florida. She'd have a little picture. She'd go show the picture on the wall of what the lots would and what the community was going to look like. And she did that second job. When my mother and father finally got to a point where they could no longer fend for themselves and had to move in with me, I finally found out what their financial statement looked like. And to my amazement, mother and father had a liquidity of $1.2 million. This is a person who was a father with a sixth grade education and a mother who got her high school diploma at night in New York City. How did that get achieved? It didn't get achieved by government assistance. It got achieved because there was an environment that rewarded people who would work hard and would make a sacrifice. So that translated into Noel, a set of values about going to work. And there's something else that Mr. Emerson's father said that touched me. He says, your reputation will go places that you will never visit. I never heard a quote like that, but it was something that my parents had said to me, but not so eloquently. So about 23 years ago, 30 years ago, I started doing work in the north side of Atlanta. And I was among mostly white developers. And they were fascinated. They'd go into a room with me and they'd be fascinated. And they would sit down and listen to me talk. In about 5 minutes, they relaxed themselves. Because they said, well, he knows what he's talking about. Made a lot of friends. And those friends told a guy named Herman Russell about me. And Herman Russell invited me to run his development company for 7 years. And we did that and had a successful venture. And then about 23 years ago, I started a small company called the Affordable Housing Partnership that has subsequently been renamed Columbia Residential. I grew that company from 1 employee to today with 252 employees, from 0 revenue to generating $45 million economic revenue annually. And that has occurred because the state of Georgia had an environment that didn't erect barriers to small business people, didn't create regulations that made it difficult for me to employ people. And I am forever indebted for that environment. Now, I knew about other environments. I knew about environments like New Jersey and New York that made it much more difficult for a small entrepreneur to build a company. So what I would like to say in my final comment is that I am hopeful that we all can come together. And I want to tell you, I'm just feeling so blessed, and unfortunately my mother and father are both in heaven right now, but I want to say this to you, that no, America's not perfect. Maybe 25% of the playing field is not available to me. I don't know. Some people say 10, say 15, some say 25. But I take 75% of the playing field of America any day of the week. Thank you very much.